Ah, okay. So I have some fun stuff for us today. I was thinking about maybe doing this. So we're doing Santiago. I don't know if you're at the lake or if you're in Jersey City, but Sunday at the farmers market will be the first of 5 Sundays that I'll be there doing qigong, and hopefully it's a good. It's been getting a good response. So hopefully we have a lot of people there. But if you're around and you want to pop in,
We
um,
won't be
Going to the
sorry.
lake this weekend. Yeah.
as you should. Good. Well, I'll have you there in spirit. I'm just getting my great. Okay. All right. So let's begin with some wave breathing. Morning carry. One hand on the lower abdomen, one hand on the chest. And just finding your center. So I sometimes like to just rock between my heels and my toes until I find right where the center is between them so that I feel like my hips are over my ankles, shoulders over my hips, and then my head is just floating on top. And then allowing the breath to be nice and soft, but then giving it some intention. So starting with the lower abdomen, letting it rise up from the belly, expanding the rib cage, expanding the chest on the inhale, and then on the exhale, a very gentle contraction or release. First the chest, then the ribs pull in, then the belly. So really allowing a full expression of the lungs. The diaphragm descends, all of those internal organs down here, down below, get a nice gentle massage. And honestly, the nervous system gets a massage with this type of breathing. That slow, rhythmic, full, deep breath, right, is a little signal to the nervous system that we are safe and calm. And it's really hard to stay agitated or anxious when we're providing ourselves with the mechanism, right? Slow, deep breathing, the mechanism of that parasympathetic nervous system response. And let's continue. We're going to go into spinal cord breathing, keeping in mind the same type of breathing. So thinking about the wave of breath coming in as we open up, looking up, and then a wave breathing as we exhale and we curl forward. So maybe go a little bit slower than we normally do with spinal cord breathing, really kind of focusing more on the wave of breath coming in and the wave of breath going out. If you've ever seen a sped up video of something like a fern, right? Those fiddle heads, it starts as this like little spiral, looks like a part of the violin, actually, right? Everything's kind of curled forward. And then you just see this unfurling. So, this energetic component that opens everything up. I love that imagery. And it's like, right, you can take a big, deep breath as it starts to unfurl, soaking in sunlight, drawing in CO2, except we're drawing in oxygen. Just a slight different variation, but similar premise. It's drawing in nutrients, the right nutrients. And then let's inhale, drop the arms down. All right, so we're going to go into a variation of knocking on the door of life called bear walking. And it incorporates a little bit of a weight shift. So it's just sort of like moving. There's a slight rotation, right? As we do in knocking on the door of life. So as we kind of shift the weight over to your left foot, right, the right hip kind of opens up a little bit. And as we shift over to the right, the left hip kind of opens just a little bit. So there's this sort of like very gentle hip opening here. And then we start incorporating the arms, knocking across the lower abdomen, the lower back. So we're still knocking on the Ming Men, the store of life area across the abdomen. Just a little bit. You can even come if you want to. Kind of helps opening up the hips if you come to the toes. So as we open up the left hip, left toes, right hip, right toes. Or you can keep them a little more in the ground, whatever feels good for you. And then if you want to incorporate a very gentle head rotation, it just allows energy to open up all the way to the base of the skull. So it might feel good on your neck, but you don't necessarily have to incorporate that. You can keep the head facing forward. And then remembering to continue to breathe. This little bit of sunlight today with all of that rain, I predict an explosion of growth. All that heat that's needed to percolate everything. I think we'll get a little bit of that today. And then let's come back to a normal, quote unquote, knocking on the door of life. So now we're staying more in the center. And then let's start to unwind. So because of all the rain, I don't know about you, but I've definitely been sitting a little more than normal. A lot of the activities that I do outside. Let's do a little picking cherries to release the lower back. So let's have the arms above the head, keep the knees slightly bent, and then we're just gently reaching up. Tuck the tailbone down so that tailbone, right, reaches towards the earth. So it's a little bit of a tucking of the pelvis to allow the tailbone to drop, because the opposite, I'm going to exaggerate this, like a little duck, we're compressing the lower lumbar area here. So to release that, we tuck the tailbone down, keep the knees nice and bent. So you're opening up here. And then when we go into picking cherries, right, ground down through the foot, the same side that you're reaching up the arm with, ground down through that foot. And you have this dynamic relationship where we're grounding down, but we're also stretching up. So you're literally like lengthening the spine and creating some more space. So really feel that gentle stretch. I'm just allowing that space for the lower back to get some relief, I would say. That space to expand. You might even feel, if you really reach up with your hand and reach down through the foot, you might even find you can feel the stretch all the way into the glute. I mean, it depends on, how tight you are, but you can feel sometimes all the way up to the mid back, all the way down through the glute. So this is really a great, very gentle, right? Very, very gentle, but powerful way to counter if you've been sitting for a long period of time, whether it's in the car or at your home on the couch or an office chair, picking cherries, even just for 90 to 120 seconds can be a real great antidote and counter to a habitualized way of sitting that might be creating some imbalances in the back. Not only the back, sitting too long also really kind of can jam up the hips, the hip flexors. So we're just kind of creating a little bit of rebalancing here. And then let's take those arms, let's let them drop down. Let's go into spreading the feathers. So stretching the arms all the way towards the ground. So you might already feel a release just with this position on the sides of the neck. And then gently, let's tilt over to the left. And then inhale, nice slow oscillation to the back of the shoulder, and then exhale to the front of the shoulder. And again, moving on the breath. Right. So we go through movements where we expand and open up, the head tilts back. We're going to open up, so breathing in. And then as we roll the head forward, there's a little bit of contraction, release. So we exhale. So inhale and then exhale. Ooh, keep going. That should be silent. And then when you're ready, let the head spill all the way forward and then come over to the opposite shoulder. Again, stretching the arms down and away. Ooh, I'm tight. And then inhale to the back of the shoulder and exhale to the front. Sometimes when the weather is really damp, like it has been, our muscles and joints sometimes kind of feel a little heavier, especially, I mean, it depends if there's a lot of wind, if there's a lot of rain, and then it's followed by sort of a lot of like a big windy day, then that sort of wind damp can get lodged in our joints and our muscles, especially the back of the neck, the upper shoulders. So this is a great thing to do just to help mobilize the muscles that are supporting the head and getting some good range of motion here, but gently. And then exhale the head all the way forward. Let the arms drop down. All right, we're just going to do, we will not go into the yang stretching today because I want to get into the archer. So we're going to go into a wider stance. And let's start first with opening the heart to the sky. So palms together and then inhale and look up, spreading the arms out, and then exhale back to the center. Looking up, right? Taking in inspiration and having reverence, right? For ourselves, for the energy of the heart, doing all of its physiological activities, but also the heart of, being connected to one another and to ourselves. And connecting. Sometimes through life, we can lose connection, right? We forget what it is that actually brings us joy, what's inspiring to us, which can also change, by the way, right? So, us also acknowledging just as life is constant dynamic change, that we can change, and reconnecting with, maybe there's something new that we never really had or thought of before that's bringing us joy. And then we'll go into the archer. So with the archer, it's about reconnecting. It's connecting and opening up that heart, finding inspiration, finding what brings us joy, and then setting a goal or having vision, right? And having vision towards something, but that's rooted in the heart center. So we're going to start over to your right. So your right arm is going to be going, that's the target, right? So that's going to be going kind of up and down. And your left arm is going to be gathering in and then right across where the heart is. So, so what that will look like is, as the front arm comes up, we're gathering in. So there's a little crisscross here. And then we stand up a little straight as we look at the target. That left arm comes across the heart. So this is like you're pulling a bow, right? So we inhale and stretch forward as the left hand comes across the heart, and we look right towards that target. So it's, as we inhale, we're gathering in, and then exhale, we pull the bow and look forward. What is that vision? Gathering in, intuition, the knowing, and then exhale, where it is that we want to go with that, what it is that we want to experience. So inhale, right? We have these two arms crossed, making almost like a T. And then that right arm goes forward and stretches towards the future, right? Bringing the left hand towards the heart. So we're inhaling and exhale. Inhale and exhale. You don't have to go down this far either. So if you come into even just a little squat, right? It's really the idea of gathering, and gathering also energy, right? It's hard to have inspiration and vision if we're feeling depleted or sad. And it's okay to be sad, but if we get sort of stuck in a certain pattern, it's hard sometimes to see forward. So we literally strengthen our body, but we also strengthen that reconnection to ourselves, finding that joy, what it is that kind of motivates us to be able to experience life, right? And seeing clearly what the possibilities are and how to get there. Okay, so now you're going to turn slightly, bring both hands now over to the right. So the arms are stretched out. Okay, now we release towards the ground and come to the center. Release the bow and arrow to the ground, and then crisscross the arms as we come up, right? As a symbol of protection. When we feel protected, we feel strong enough to open our hearts and be vulnerable. And then exhale, feeling really grounded and rooted in the present moment. And now let's do the opposite side. So again, now the left arm is going straight forward and coming up, and it's the right arm that comes around in a circle back towards the heart. So we come into a crisscross and then looking over to the left now, focusing on that target as that left arm comes up and goes forward. So inhale, we gather, and then exhale. So again, this right hand is coming right across the lungs and the heart, and we look forward past that left arm. So inhale and exhale. And so this is a very dynamic exercise, right? We're doing a lot. We're doing a lot of things all at once. So also have that joy, right? That joy and playfulness of the heart, and just being curious about what this feels like. Once we get the mechanics down, then just sort of let go a little bit in terms of allowing your body, your emotional center, and our brains to kind of just absorb and feel what's going on as we draw around and come in, nourishing and opening the heart, and then being excited, right? For what are the possibilities? What is this vision? What's this new thing that, wow, that would be really amazing. So connecting with that. And then soften around that, right? So there's a lot of structure here. Float the arms, right? Softness overcomes hard. That has been my sort of the thing that I've been thinking about recently, right? Just like the Grand Canyon, this huge, rock, earth crater, really, right? But what does water do? It very gently, sometimes not so gently, but over time, right? It erodes the rock, it softens, it kind of breaks down. So when we say softness overcomes the hard, we need the structure, we need the boundaries, but then soften around it. And that's where we see integration and health. Let's do one more. And now we're going to reach both arms over to the left. Exhale them down and come to the center. Crisscross the arms. Inhale, we come up. Take a nice inhale as we open up, feeling really expansive, but then also very grounded. Okay, come to I'll say the normal stance. I love that one. The archer is one of my favorite things to do because also it's not tough, right? Let's shake everything out now. It's one of those sneaky exercises that incorporates a lot of dynamic movement, a lot of right and left, so it's really good for the brain. But it also has this really inspiring component of like, kind of like, at least for me, like revving me up, right? That excitement about life and what could be. So take a nice inhale through the nose and then exhale. And not just what could be, right? But saying, okay, what am I doing now in this present moment that can help facilitate movement towards what could be? And another way of saying that is where the mind goes, energy follows. And then let's start to slow down. So our first flow today is part of the Swimming Dragon series. So we'll be working with drawing energy into the three levels, the lower abdomen, the dantian, lower dantian, the heart, and the mind, and the connection of the two, and how those different iterations of who we are feed one another. So let's start first just by moving, because I want to re-emphasize the importance of moving from this area. This is like our pretty main source of power. So we're just going to practice moving the hips. This is very gentle, moving the right hip forward. So think about the hip bones being these little headlights, and we're just moving from one side slowly to the other. And when we start to incorporate the arms, thinking about the arms really just being an extension and are guided by the movement of the hips. Okay, so as your left hip comes forward, your right arm floats out. And then as the left hip draws back, then the arm pulls back in and down. And then the opposite hip comes forward, floats the arm out, and then draws back in as the hip pulls back. So just think about moving first from the hips, and that the arms are just extensions of the hips that we're floating forward and then spiraling the hand upwards as we pull back in. So think about as we extend forward, the hand spirals in, we're gathering into first the lower dantian. And so exhale as the arm floats forward, and then inhale as we draw in. Right, the lower dantian, this area is associated more with the physical body, right? But there is an intelligence in this lower abdominal area, which we now know in Western medicine, they say it's almost like another brain. We have all the neurons in our head, right? We're thinking, a lot of activities driven from that, and how our body operates is largely connected to what's going on neurologically in our brain. But there's also similar activity in our gut. So we can sort of consider it, or they consider it almost like your second brain, right? There's a natural intelligence, intuition, often from here, gut feelings. So it's a different form, right? We don't think about math problems here. We think about math problems here, right? But there's a different type of intelligence that does not need the rational mind. It's the same sort of intelligence that our body just knows, and knows how to properly break down cells that it needs to and generate new cells. And not only generate new cells, it knows how to generate a liver cell, right? It knows how to generate a skin cell. We don't have to tell our bodies to do it, it just knows. We're kind of strengthening that part of who we are, taking in energy, storing it, cultivating, paying attention to some of the subtle signs that we could link with sort of that gut feeling. It's just like any muscle that we can work to strengthen. And then we come up just a little bit higher now into the emotional and center, the heart area. So we're still moving from the hips and the waist. Now we're drawing in into this heart chi center, the emotional center. strengthening the connection to ourselves, to others. Again, bring that curiosity about what brings us joy, what fulfills our hearts. When we look at maybe a newborn baby or a puppy or someone that you deeply love, right? That feeling that's infused, right? That heart-centered connection. We're drawing in and nourishing this whole area. And again, we're moving slowly and fluidly through this field. Right? There's energy all around us. And we can intentionally draw in to help improve our physical body, our emotional health. And then we're going to come all the way up now in front of the brain, the mind, consciousness, and same thing, right? We're creating a harmony between these three levels. I liked I did a class with Lee. I didn't do a class. I watched a class because it was a recorded class. But he just describing these three areas, the Jing, Qi, and Shen, the physical body, the emotional body, and our consciousness or our mind as three players on your team, right? And you are the total of all of those. But these are three different players, three different types of energy, and they're all working together to help us have the best, fullest expression of ourselves and experiencing life to the fullest capacity because they're all integrated, they're all working together, constantly informing one another and balancing one another. And then let's come back down now, right? Integrating now in front of the heart center again. And then all the way down to the lower dantian again. And then let's come to our chi ball. And let's close the eyes if that feels okay. Just noticing how you feel. And trying to open and have clear mind, open heart, but strong, healthy body. And then from here, we're going into, it looks a lot like embrace the tiger, return to the mountain, but instead of the arms coming up, we're going to be focusing on opening the heart center again. Ooh, excuse me. So we start on the exhale. So we'll first inhale and then exhale, separate the hands out to the sides, and then back of the hands come together as we inhale and roll up. Exhale forward. Now this time, just open up the hands to the sides. So as we inhale, think about opening up the heart center, and then spiral the hands in and then down. So we reach towards the earth. Just think of connecting down, scoop up, scooping up energy, and then direct it right into the center of the chest for a moment. Let's pause here. Sending all of that energy, infusing our heart, the lungs, and then open the eyes if they're closed. Exhale down. Now inhale, float the hands out to the front. And now we're going to wave forward 3 times. So what that means is as the hands come in, we start to wave the spine and then it comes forward as the arms come forward. Roll up, hands come in, roll forward again, like you're waving the spine, and then again. So for a 3rd time. And then come back in, and then exhale back down. So we'll do that many times. So yeah, we start, just inhale in the center, and then exhale, separate the hands. And then we inhale, rolling the spine up, exhale forward, and then inhale, opening the center of the chest, the heart, spiraling the hands in, and then extending down. We root down, scooping up, right? This nourishing energy from the earth, directing it right into the heart center. Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale, let the hands float back down. And we come up for those rolls. So inhale, the arms come up and in, and then rolling forward. I'll turn sideways so you can see this. So we roll the spine up and then roll the spine forward. Like you're a little sea anemone or a piece of seaweed. And then after the 3rd one, I think that was number 3, we just exhale down. Maybe I'll do the whole next one to the side. So nice inhale, exhale, separate, and then back of the hands together as we inhale and roll up. Exhale, push forward. Inhale, separate, opening the chest. The hands spiral in and then down as we scoop, grounding down towards the earth, up and then right into the center of the chest. Take a nice inhale. And then exhale, the hands float down. And then inhale, rolling up. And then let's shake it out 3 times. So 1, and then inhale, 2, 3, pulling in and then down. We'll do that a couple more times. A nice inhale. Exhale, separate. And then inhale, let's roll up. Exhale forward. And then opening up that heart, we inhale. The arms come in, spiral down, scoop. Inhale right to the center of the chest. Take a nice deep inhale, soaking in all of that goodness, and then exhale back down. And then we inhale, roll up, and then we'll shake that wave forward. 1. Exhale forward. Inhale, roll up. 3. Inhale. And then exhale. All right, one more time. So we inhale, exhale, and then inhale, rolling up. Exhale, push forward. Inhale, arms curl in and then down. On the exhale, scoop up, drawing into the center of the chest. Nice deep inhale. Exhale, release down, and then inhale, the arms float up as we roll the spine, and then roll the spine forward. 3, 2, and 1. And then let's just drop the hands down on the exhale to our chi bow one more time. And then let the arms drop down. And let's inhale the arms down, around, and up. And then a nice slow exhale as the hands just drift back down. And then inhale and exhale. And one last time. Inhale and exhale. Bring the feet together. And let's finish the few moments here of bamboo in the wind. And when you're ready, you can keep going, but I have to go. So I'm going to say farewell. And for anyone that came on here late, Sunday, 9 to 10 at the Riverview Farmers Market, we'll be doing QiGong. I think in that little patch of area that's close to the community garden. So feel free to come and do some qigong outside if it's nice. I'll be there. Okay. Enjoy your weekends, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.